Well, hello! Hey, Will Connors is here. That's pretty cool. Yeah. I know, I saw on Discord that somebody else is getting ready to come in, and already my addled brain has forgotten who that was, because I'm really good with names. That's just embarrassing as hell. Steve D says he's ready and waiting, which is cool. So when you get in here, hello, Steve D. Hello, Will Connors. Thank you, Dan Does Junk, for being a moderator and for putting up with us. She's not here. For putting up with me and running this. I really appreciate that. And also thank you very much, Shop Gremlin, for the same thing, putting up with me and being a moderator for the channel and for the stream and on Facebook and everywhere else. Thank you, Jerry, for being a moderator on Facebook. Anyway, hey, how's it going? Let's get back over to what I need to look at here. Got a couple of things set up. What I want to do today, what I'm planning on doing today, is making the badges. What I want to make are the patches. Badges, we don't need no stinking badges. Okay, so I'm making patches. On the Ghostbusters uniform, there's the No Ghost logo that goes on the shoulder or the bicep, right? And then they have their name badge that goes on the chest. And for the most part, that's it. I could be wrong. I'm really good at being wrong. But I believe that's all there really is for the 84 Ghostbusters. What's kind of cool to me is I've paid attention to primarily the Terror Dogs, but I can see other Ghostbusters and their uniforms both online, and I've seen others in person at places like WonderCon and SAC Anime. Those are the only two that seem to always go on the right bicep and on the left chest. There's a number of other patches that'll get made up that kind of go anywhere. I see patches like the Terror Dog patches. They have a triangular patch that they have that is their official patch. And I see the Terror Dogs put those on all over the place. I've seen a couple of them where it's on the right chest, it's below the name, it's on the other arm, it's like down on the gut. It's like, okay. Which, you know, I've got a gut. A lot of the Terror Dogs are actually way more better shape, and it's just down on their abdomen. But hey, how's it going? Welcome to the Odin Makes live stream. It's Sunday, and I'm babbling away because, you know, I need to start. So I figured if I just start babbling, I'll get started. Hey, how's it going? Thank you for watching the Odin Makes live stream. Hi, I'm Odin. Today, Felicia hasn't made it yet. I never got an official no from Felicia, but we all know. Lose my balance with my foot on standing on the box. Both feet flat on the floor. But we all know from the last stream that Felicia isn't doing well. She managed to break her foot. It is slightly humorous that and not this type, that almost exactly a year ago she cracked it. Or did something, you know, cracked her toe, whatever. We're not 100% sure. She was in a boot. And we know that it was exactly, you know, basically a year ago, not only because she told us, but it was really easy for me to flip through pictures and see her in her Princess Leia A New Hope cosplay that she wore to CrockerCon, which happened on the third Thursday of September. And it's the same foot. Only this time, if was a foot, this bone is the bone that she managed to break. And I believe we shared that last stream, and it is a full separation of the bone. It was an honest, it was as Hollywood of a break you can get without it becoming a horror show. Anyway, if she can't make it today, I'm not upset. I wish Felicia well. I hope she's going to be a long time on the mend for something like that. She's not going to heal in a week. But I know last time she needed to get a ride here. Felicia drives a standard transmission vehicle, which means all the feet are doing something. So she wasn't exactly able to drive with the cast on that she's got. So yeah. Anyway, hopes for Felicia feeling better, and I don't mind. I am not upset. I am not disappointed. I am not angry that Felicia can't make it today because she's freaking hobbled. Anyway, Steve D, good evening all. Morning. Hello. Sweet. Hello. I read my own comment because I'm doing real good. So the plan was, Felicia's idea, at SAC Anime, when she was fully bipedal. Felicia's plan at Sac Anime was, well, we need to make patches for our uniforms. We need to make patches for the Ghostbusters uniforms. And instead of just buying them, which we can do, and it's 100% what I planned on doing, what if we just make them out of EVA foam? And my initial response was, they're not going to last. Okay, one, who cares? Realistically, I mean, who cares? I'm sure they'll last just as long as we have interest in wearing the uniforms, right? That's kind of a weird way of thinking about it. But two, if you want to do the patches appropriately, even if you buy them, they're Velcroed to the uniform, so you can remove the patches for laundering, so you're not running your patches through the washer and dryer, shrinking them. Well, if that's the case, why not make them out of EVA foam? We're going to take them off with Velcro anyway. So, over a couple of nights, over the past couple of weeks, I sat down and made myself an art file with the idea of how I want to go about making these patches. So I'd have all the cut lines, because that takes time. That takes a lot of time. This is the one thing that all of us that really like laser cutters don't overly talk about, and that is, you can't just mentally walk up to the laser and go, hey, cut me this, and the machine goes, oh, okay, I'll cut you that. You have to actually make your art file. You actually have to trace out what your laser paths are going to be. You actually have to figure out if I want to cut a multicolor thing, so instead of just drawing it once on paper, I have to draw, this is the piece that's going to be white, this is the piece that's going to be red, this is the piece that's going to be black. And then in addition to that, as I'm making the art file to do this, you can't paint over something that you want to cover, right? Like, you can't draw the ghost shape and then take a paintbrush and do a red swash across them with, like you could with paint. You actually have to make that individual piece to fit together like a jigsaw puzzle in order for all the colors to work out and for it to end up being relatively flat. Which is okay, because that's part of the fun, right? So that takes time. I did all that. Adam Trevino, hello from New York Comic Con, the New York Ghostbusters, Massachusetts Ghostbusters. Yes, hello Adam, that's awesome. Hey, how's it going? So I did that. Is there anything else really big that I'm missing out on here? Any other? I talked about KaboomCon when the. Yeah, so nothing else really huge happened. I don't think. Nothing else worth talking about right now. Okay. I'm trying to remember. So it's been a really weird week for me. Not something I want to talk about. Not something I want to share, publicly. It's not really bad. It's just I'm not really ready to share. I suppose one thing is that I spent all day. I took the day off from work on Monday and spent all day Monday out at the duplex that my stepmother owns. This gets complicated in a hurry. So there's a duplex that my stepmother owns that I'm supposed to be living in, but my ex, once I got divorced, my ex is living in it in a way of helping them to get set up to be able to move out and move on with their life. And the agreement was, by letting them do that for 3 years, they were going to completely surrender their right to alimony, which if that was the case, that would have been me paying a sum of money to them for the rest of my life, either effectively or literally, depending on how that worked out. Because I think we were just shy of the legal statute for it literally being the rest of my life. But at the same time, I'm at an age that is getting to be, I would be paying out longer than I would probably be working, and that's not going to work out. So anyway, I agreed to it. Well, the roof had a leak. The roof's always had a leak. I've always gone out there and just stuck like roof patch on there and smeared crap on it and cussed at it and set stuff in the set big things in the attic to catch the drip so it wouldn't go through the ceiling, because I didn't know how to fix it. Had no idea. So we actually went out and fixed the roof. I want this. I want this. I want to make sure I'm on the right picture. Doing the wrong thing. Here we are. That's what I want. Funny, 2 years ago. Pictures from New York Comic Con from when I got to go 2 years ago. Yeah, so we actually, tore up the roof and laid in. Where am I at? Is this going to work? So, look at the house in the background. That's actually the angle of the roof. It's not that steep of a roof. So there's me with Joseph. Hey, Joseph's appearing on the channel. So we actually tore out a huge chunk of the roof and laid in some new siding pieces. It was just over 4 feet wide by just over 4 feet tall once we got rid of all the really bad spongy wood. So it required a couple of pieces to fix, right? It wasn't something as simple as just drop a new piece of plywood in. So this is 54 or 56 inches tall, and that's how short of 4 feet, how much longer than 4 feet it was. So we put all that in, and then, there's the hole again. And then we went ahead and laid in new tar paper over it, stapling it all down, tucking it underneath the other paper, trying to keep the lap going in a way that I wasn't creating a place for water to pool. Man, one of these days I'll learn how to use my phone upside down. Nope, that's not how I'm going to learn how to use my phone upside down. And, yeah. So laid in a ton of extra, new pieces. What it was the... Yeah, you really can't see this. It got to be dark before we got finished. So this is the steel frame that holds the HVAC on top of the roof. And the giant penny nails, or whatever you call them, that the guys had used to just nail this corner in here, since they put 2 nails in there, the secondary nail didn't do anything as far as sealing, and that became the big leak that started letting stuff go in and was the really, really big problem that we had. So, yeah. Thankfully that got fixed, but that was highly stressful, yeah. That was stressful to be on the roof and to, be around my ex, and everything else for a day, but got it done. It hasn't rained since, so hopefully it's okay. But anyway, I was sore from going up and down the ladder, carrying asphalt tile up and down. It's a composition roof, right? It's just work, right? But it's not the type of work I'm used to doing anymore. I used to be up and down ladders all the time and on roofs all the time doing direct TV, 15 years ago. I was 15 years younger, and I'm not now. So anyway, that kicked my ass. But yeah, it's done. So hopefully that's done right. Hopefully that will make it through this winter and maybe through a couple more winters before we really have to properly address it with a real roofer. So anyway, that's how my week started. Dan was on his roof yesterday, cleaning the gutters. And and all sorts of other fun things happen. So at this point, I get to work on patches. I am brain dead. I'm really sorry. I have not recovered. Who's all here? 9 people are great. Normal people are here. And okay, so. Myself a drink. What I ended up doing, in order to make the patches, right? I want to make the patches. I want to make them as accurate and authentic as I can. I want to I like making things that look screen accurate. That is the thing that I enjoy. There's a limitation to my ability versus what I actually see on screen, but I really like getting to a happy medium between the two, to where I can get something that looks as close to what's on screen as my ability. That's the best way for me to describe that and put that. And so with that in mind, I didn't want to go looking for the Ghostbusters patches that are available for purchase, right? Whether they're officially licensed or ones that are on eBay or Etsy, because that's going to be someone else's interpretation. And even though they can be really accurate, I don't know that until I've checked for myself. So, going to the Ghostbusters Visual Archive, I found pictures of screen-used patches. There's a couple of uniforms that the guys have laid out, that collectors have laid out, and took detailed pictures of, including forensic-style detailed pictures with rulers and tape measures to show you what the sizes are, and then also we can see what the stitching patterns are. Dan Does Junk got both of his 3D printers going. Finally working my nephew's Master Chief cosplay. Sweet! Brain needs caffeine to function until sleep batteries are fully recharged. Yeah, exactly. Kind of the same, Ted. Hello, Marvel Guy. I'm doing okay. I'm just moving slow. So what I did was using the same program I'm always talking about. I was using Inkscape. Now, with Inkscape, I was able to go ahead and let's see if I can. Usually I have a there we are. Usually I have a keyboard in front of me, so operating my left hand off to the side is going to be fun. This is the artwork that I created for the patches that we want to make. This particular one, I went ahead and colored it in because it was more fun for me to do it at the time. I could understand it better. And for the names, I went ahead and left them as the outlines because that's simple enough that I personally didn't need to see them colored in. But in order to make sure I had them right, I went ahead and brought in pictures of. Oops. Oh, okay. Oh. I think I found out something that Inkscape does I didn't know it did. So I can shift click. Oh, weird. Shift just turns it off and on. Okay. Sorry for the blinking, people. So what we have right here, this is a screen used patch off of a screen used uniform. And what I really enjoy with this is the difference between what we perceive on a costume or on a prop and what's actually used. Now at the same time, this has got some washing to it, this has got some use on it, and so that's going to cause some shrinkage. But still, looking at this, I honestly believe that this patch was put together not perfectly square. Personally, I would want it perfectly square, and that would be a big part of what I'm trying to do. But you know, this angle here, this isn't the camera being on an angle to what they're trying to take a picture of. I know from me taking pictures like this, they're pretty straight up and down with their cell phone taking this picture because you can see the cell phone shadow right here, right? There's the shadow of the phone. They are directly over the uniform taking this picture as straight on as they can by hand. Thank you very much. And they've got their tape measure laid out. Yeah, the end of it is missing, but the fractions are still there enough. So there's like maybe a 1/16 of an inch missing, maybe, but good enough. So it ends up being just under 4.5 inches wide, and then other pictures showed me it was 2-something inches tall. Anyway, at the same time, I didn't care about exactly how tall it was because with this picture, having it sized at 100% to my artboard, I was then able to go ahead and start drawing out the other names that we wanted. And I actually copied the font style for our names, for my name and for Felicia's name, off of the patches. But not all the, most of the names are there, but not all of them. So let me turn the ghost off. But all the other names are there. All the other letters practically are there with everyone else's names. So here's patches again. Still, we can look at them. They're old used patches, right? So I have to keep that in mind. The fact that they're not straight now may not mean that they weren't straight in '84, but this is what I have to work with. And I also know, having done enough of this, even on smaller budget things, they weren't, because they didn't need to be. They were cloth patches, and they needed to look like the guys made them, right? Or the guys had them made. So it was okay that they weren't, military perfect. Which even that is, it's probably still pretty close to this. So the majority of the letters I needed actually came from Zedmore. So pretty much Odin is almost all Zedmore with stance. There's no I, but that's hard. It's a straight line, right? So, and there's also no F, but that's just E minus a leg. And then for SG, well, that's Shop Gremlin, because it's not going to fit on a full patch. And there's no G, but that was pretty easy to figure out too. So did my best. And with the separation that I've done, I've got an outline for the overall patch. I've got an outline for what is the raised section. This bit here, because you've got a little bit of embroidery that goes on the edge. It's going to make that be a tiny bit taller. And then the colors, right? So my plan is to cut the overall patch from 2mm. I want to cut the frame from 3mm thick, so it's just a tiny bit taller. So it's there, because they're both going to be black foam. And then I'll go ahead and let the letters just be 2mm, mostly because I don't have any 3mm red foam. But then the ghost patch, this is also one of the screen used ghost patches. Again, I'm pretty sure this thing is so out of round and his face is so, kind of smooshed and his fingers are missing. I'm pretty sure this is going to be washed and shrank and old. It was probably a bit better when it was originally made in '84. So I did go ahead and redo the art on top of that in my own way. So this isn't accurate, right? This isn't the perfect from the credit scene animated style of the patches. This is just what I put together based off of the patch, the one patch that I decided to look at. And it gets back to, I decided I was okay with that. I had fun with it, trying to do what I needed to do to get all the bits and pieces. Let me turn the background off. So yeah, it's Ghostbusters. Well, it looks like Ghostbusters. What's fun to me is how very different this is with different patches. I know a standard thing for artists to do and map makers to do is you throw in something that's a little different that people aren't going to notice, so you can tell if that one's yours or not, right? Like there's map makers and map companies that would create towns that didn't actually exist, because then they could go look to see if that town was there. If someone else supposedly made their own map, then the town shouldn't be there, but if it was, then they copied. And so you get the same thing with artwork like this, where the ghost here is a little more surprised. Some of them are a little happier that I've seen. Some of them are looking right at the camera, not off to the side. The fingers are often done differently. The fact that the palm isn't often it's convex, or these lines just connect. His thumbs are oversized. What's funny working on this is remembering as I was in high school when this came out. I can remember drawing this, just on binder paper, as something to doodle, right? Been drawing this thing for, off and on for a little while. But yeah, so people do different things in order to help. Man, I'm really having issues. There are different ways of adding something in to make it your own, so you know that, hey, someone's copying me. I don't care if anyone's copying me. So even though I did it my own way, that was more because I needed to create the file anyway, so why not? But with this, there's basically 4 colors, right? Am I saying that too fast? No, there's 3 colors. I said that too fast. We've got red, we've got black, and we've got white. So all of those pieces need to be cut out in foam and then laid back in order to create the patches. This is the biggest issue that I have with doing this, is the sizes. The size of the eyebrows, the size of like the bottom lip, right? The little nose sickle. Well, it's not a nose sickle, that's gross. But it's a sickle shape that's representing the ghost's nose. All those things are freaking tiny. This little tiny line here is crazy tiny. This thing is only as wide as my hand, right? It's like 3.5 inches wide. So these shapes will probably obliterate and not actually cut out. There's ways of working with it, and I'm gonna give that a shot. I haven't tried it all, by the way. I'm doing all this totally on the stream, first time. I haven't cut anything out yet. You might hear the fan in the background, the laser in the background cooling itself. But yeah, it's going to be interesting trying to work on this. So if we turn on the cut lines, I then went ahead and separated everything out that I needed because, yeah, that's really interesting. Okay, I guess I'm still active on this window instead of this window. So it created out my separation of colors. And I only need them to be a path. I don't need them to be a fill because the laser is just going to follow the SVG path of the file. So with the separation, this of course is the red. And the way I drew it, I had these little tiny pieces here. These are going to just disappear. There's no way I can cut these out to scale. And most ghost patches, actually this red isn't there. But by the time I realized that, I was so deep into the project, I wasn't interested in fixing the hand. So these will probably just disappear. This is going to be the black outlines, right? All the black outline pieces. And again, I'm really worried about this. There are ways of telling the laser to cut on the outside of what it is, so you get to keep what's on the inside. But the heat and the foam reacts to the heat of being vaporized, that something that thin is probably not going to live. And then we have, and then this is going to be the white pieces. This should cut out okay. And worst case scenario, there's just holes, which I don't really want. I'd like to have these filled in, right? That's really kind of the idea. And then I have the overall background. So this whole patch will end up being about 4 millimeters thick, I would suspect, because I'm going to need a background piece, which I can cut out of black, and that'll fix part of the problem with any eye pieces that cut out that I don't have a filter for. But I'll have to cut this out and then start laying in pieces, you know. And so what's this over here? It's gonna be a weird puzzle piece to put together. Sorry, I haven't even rehearsed this, right? This is all totally on the fly here. So what's this bit over here? This is the backing. So even just doing all this out of foam, even with a backing piece here, I have great concern over its strength for staying on the costume. And so my thought was, with this, I could either cut out a piece of canvas or a piece of window screen and glue this to the back of the EVA foam as a way of giving it a little extra strength to keep it from doing anything stupid, I hope. And then we need to, we could also potentially use this as a pattern for cutting out the Velcro backing in order to hold it on, although that should probably just be a circle. And if the fingers get curled, the fingers get curled, because honestly, cutting out a piece of Velcro this small is probably not gonna work that well. Let's go back to comments really quick and then we'll move on. Brain needs caffeine. How you doing? Great. Maybe a patch that says Odin in Norse font? Yeah. Okay, so Elder Futhark I thought about. I really did. That occurred to me. It's like, I could do that, but yeah. I didn't want to explain it to everybody. Because I can still do it, right? I can still do it and just slap it on, especially the Velcro. So you're not wrong. I also thought about, ooh, do I want to just do my logo, right? Do I want to do the full Odin Makes logo on the patch? That would work out. But that also becomes some really tiny pieces at that size to make the Odin Makes patch, the Odin Makes logo fit within the 2.5 inches tall, the 2 inches, that's the inside portion. That's some really tiny little bits and pieces. And it's like, yeah, I don't want to fight with that many pieces. I'm fighting with enough already. So I just decided to go ahead and go with what's on screen. And something else that's fun that I'm sure all of you noticed, what I've got going on here, I don't see the hand tool. What I got going on here is all the names are either our our handles or our first names, and that's because I don't go by my last name. I could put on the Ghostbusters uniform and it could say Abbott on it, and that would be screen accurate. But I don't go around as Mr. Abbott. I don't ask for that. I'm much happier being Odin or Mr. Odin. That's totally cool and great with me. So I'd rather the patch say Odin. So that was one of the things I actually asked the Terror Dogs about. Hey, I'm looking at using my first name, and I'm sure Felicia feels the same way. She'd rather have her first name. Is that an issue? Are you guys sticking to the lore? Are you guys only doing last names? And he goes, no, not at all. Aaron has his as Aaron, and there's someone else in the group that I don't remember what his handle is, but basically says Orc Smasher. So it's like, okay, good, we're good. Not worried about it then. And there's name badges that aren't even red and black. There's ones that are pink and black, right? So custom colors. It is really kind of cool that the Ghostbusters embrace the idea that you are creating you as a Ghostbuster. Therefore, you can do a you thing, right? We're not trying to specifically be just the 4 Ghostbusters that are on screen, which is totally where my head is usually at, and why I wouldn't do it. I don't have the body of any of those guys. I wouldn't know what to do with it. They would rot really quick if I had one of those bodies. But I'm a different shape, and it doesn't matter, which is fantastic. So Odin will be dressed up as a Ghostbuster. Odin's part of the Terror Dog Squad officially now, so I can put that patch on as well. And yeah, so I gonna go with these. Ari is here. Morning, SG. Dan Does Junk says, I guess mine would say junk. You know, that wouldn't be so bad. It could be DDJ. It could just say Dan if you wanted. What's also really fun is Gonzo, a good friend of both Felicia and I, the guy that we worked with a few times on a number of projects. He had interest in putting one of these together once he saw us dressed up, right? He was the one that did the Photoshop of us at SAC Anime, adding in Slimer up by the ceiling. Gonzo's not his name, right? So, but what's he going to put on his uniform? He's going to put Gonzo on there because that's his name. It's just not his given name. And that's totally cool. So, we'll get there. And of course, Shop Gremlin doesn't have a pack. There isn't one built, but I was making the patches, so I'll just make an SG one because why not? If Felicia can't make it, Shop Gremlin can put it on. So that'll make it easy. Yeah, Marvel Guy would just say Marvel Guy. Shady said, I did give you a patch a while back. Yes, you did. Dan Does Junk says, if I did put together a full Ghostbusters uniform, I'd make sure that all my gear was malfunctioning and smoking to emphasize that it's junk. There's guys that do that. It's really kind of cool. Literally the one guy I saw at RocketCon years ago had made his pack out of the discount Tupperware and an old Pelican case, and it wasn't even on an Alice pack, it was just on a different backpack frame, but it all totally worked. And it was spray painted black and had the wires on it, and I didn't question it. I could tell it was a Proton pack. It wasn't at all what was on screen, but specifically what it did is it had the Millennium Falcon malfunctioning sound that it did. And when it got to the end, it made a big clunk sound additionally, which may or may not have been physical. And then it belched out marshmallow scented vape smoke, and a lot of it, which was really kind of cool. Anyway, if I do the whole Alt Tab thing. Once I get done making all the artwork in Inkscape, or you can, if you wanted to do your own laser path, you can use any vector graphics program you want. I prefer Inkscape because I know how to use the program better. Not that you can tell from this demonstration. I know how to use the program better than Adobe Illustrator, and those are the two main ones that I have access to. There are plenty of others. It all does the same thing. As long as you can export an SVG file, or what is it, DXF, I think is the other one. I could be saying the letters wrong. Both of those can be imported into both Lightburn and the Xtool Creative Space. I'm going to use Xtool Creative Space because I'm going to be using the Xtool here in the shop to do a lot of the cutting for me. And so within the Creative Space, I was able to bring in the, it's kind of the same thing, isn't it? Yeah, shift to get the hand. Yeah, the Ghost is fun. It's kind of the same thing where we're just looking at the lines. Only now the lines are different colors. I already lost my train of thought as far as me trying to say the same thing. With this particular canvas, was one of the newer things that Creative Space did, is they've introduced canvases where you can have multiple canvases where you have things set up ahead of time instead of having to move everything every time, which I've done that plenty of times, meaning that with a project like this where I have multiple pieces that are going to be different colors of foam or different thicknesses of foam, I would have my work area, which is this grid area here. I could move in what I wanted the laser to cut, get that all set up, cut it, and then I have to move everything off and reset up what the material is going to be, because here the materials is unknown. I haven't got it set up yet. Heck, I haven't even connected my tool yet. And I have to reset for every piece that I'm doing. But now, hidden underneath me, so let's turn me off, we've got layers, and I'm able to, oh, that's the groups, that's not what I want, this is what I want. And I'm able to not only have a canvas that I've got labeled as 2mm black foam, here's my 3mm black foam for the outlines for the patches, here's a piece for cloth backing, right, with the small fingers, and a slightly smaller rectangle for a cloth backing on the name badges, and then here's the 2mm red foam parts that I need. And then if we keep scrolling down, I've got the 2mm white foam parts that I need. All set to go. All I have to do is actually tell the X tool what the thickness is going to be, and it'll remember it. And if I wanted to cut out more patches, I could open up this file and just start cutting more again. This is the biggest thing with laser cutting for why I really like it. It takes a lot of computer chair time to get things set up so you can do it. But once something is set up, cutting out more is easy. How often do I need to cut out more? Not as often as as I think. I kind of do it intentionally now because I can. Generally, most of the stuff I do, I could have done. It's a one-off. But there's things like the Leviathan axe with from God of War, where it's the same on both sides, right? Or Ezio's axe from Assassin's Creed, where you have all that fancy scroll work and details that's same on both sides. I had to cut both sides out. Not a big deal. It was only 2, but for me, I can look at it. I can see that I did it by hand. I can see the 2 sides are different. If I did it with Mr. Machine, that wouldn't be the case, right? They would be machine accurate, right? I don't want to say perfect. They'd be machine accurate. As well as able to get, because I like making robots and machines so much, I actually enjoy that portion of it. Using the laser, I'm able to get so many more straight cuts, consistent radius cuts, things like that. The only thing I can't do is a bevel, right? Benini did a system where it was a lot of engraving in order to get a bevel, and then you ended up gluing the engraving side down to have the clean side up, and that totally works. It just takes longer than it does to just Dremel it. So that's one of those things where I'm just going to Dremel it because, or use a rotary tool on it because it's going to go faster to get that put together than trying to do it with using the laser to bevel it. But it's kind of cool that it is possible. Alright, so which one do I want to do first? Let's do the 2mm black foam first. I think I talked about this last stream, maybe. One of the things I realized is a problem with putting together foam for laser cutting is that the foam really wants to be flat. And foam isn't flat. Foam comes in a roll. Big sheets anyway. And with a big sheet of foam, I can't put that in the laser cutter because the laser is going to set down to the height that I tell it, right? What it's going to do is it's going to set down to the focal point of the thickness of the material that I tell it. So in this case, this is 3mm black foam. If I was to set this in there, the head's going to come down to about 4.5, 5 millimeters off of the cut bed with this inside of that space, right? So there's only a little bit of space above it. It may not be that close, it might be higher. And then, like a plotter, it starts moving in its XY directions to cut out the shape that I want. But if the foam is curled, then the corners can pop up, and what happens more often than not is the laser hits it and twists the piece of foam inside the laser cutter, and now the foam isn't accurate to the expected cut path the machine is doing, and you end up getting things cut wrong. Happens to me all the time. So what I did, but I'm not prepared for it with today, is I actually took a piece of wood, put it into the oven, set the oven for like 250 degrees. On 225 is probably fine. Let it warm up, and that is a great temperature for making the foam relax. Now, by doing this, if you wanted to do this for your own projects, you're stuck with the size of your oven, right? A household oven is just barely, the household oven I have is just barely big enough for me to get not quite 2 feet wide inside of the oven rack area. And I don't put it on the rack, I put a little piece of MDF plywood in there. So I don't brand the oven rack wire onto the back of the foam, because you will totally do that. Or you'll get some really crappy, wavy, which could be cool if that's what you want, but that's not what I want. I want it flat. So I put in a piece of MDF wood. It still heats and sags a little, but that's not a big deal, right? That amount goes away. Because the wood literally heated up and sagged a little bit in the oven. And it doesn't take that long. Something this thick at 250 degrees was ready to go in like 45 seconds, 60 seconds. And then you take it out. I left them in there longer at first, and I ended up really warping the foam just by grabbing the hot foam and pulling it out, which I was using oven mitts for because it was hot. But removing the piece and the stress of it supporting its own weight by me pulling it out of the oven caused some warpage that I'm pretty sure Felicia pointed out last stream. So I think I went over this last time. So I need to do that. I'm not going to go do that now because I'm not set up to get in the kitchen. But I need to do that more, and I need to shoot that and present that in a better way. Because it worked out really well and it wasn't hard. And what I ended up with was some incredibly flat foam that's easy to laser cut. Here's 10 millimeter HD foam. This is the stuff that that Steve McKay Smith sells over at Blick Art Materials. This comes in a roll, right? 10 millimeter thick, a centimeter thick. Comes in a roll, and it is. Well, I don't really have a. It looks white because I've just zoomed in, but it is crazy, stupid straight now. And this has been this way since before KaboomCon, and all that is done from heating it up. This was a little longer in the oven, but you get it's real easy to laser cut from this because now it is something that is agreeable to being laid down on the laser bed. Hey, Odin, why don't you shut up and start doing stuff? I like talking about what I'm doing. Besides, I'm sort of trying to watch the time. Oh, it is noon. I get to go live. Okay. And it's not like I was trying to delay till noon, but I was trying to keep attention. Get SG an inflatable backpack so it's not too heavy for them. That's a great idea, REF51. I'm okay with that. Yep, Shady's got a patch that says Shady off of Etsy. Yeah, 100%. That was my plan, actually, was to go ahead and just go order patches. Because why not? Just go order patches. REF51 actually set SG up with an embroidery machine that we have yet to use. One of the people that helps us out at Cosplay Repair, their name is Cedar, they're apparently going to come over and help us figure out how to make this machine work. So it's possible that using the SVG files that I've already made, we can export those to the embroidery machine and can literally embroider our own patches. This is a possibility. Don't know yet. Alright, I need to go over here. Edit, you're going to come down. Visibility is going to be public. Done. And we're going to come down a little more. And we're going to put this as a playlist for live streams and Ghostbusters. Then we're going to go done. And we're going to go save. And we're now public. Hooray! Odin Makes has gone public. Everybody buy your shares. So I'm not against that, right? Setting up the fabric, setting up the stitches. It's a single color embroidery machine. Not a big deal. I'm not trying to complain. It's amazing that we have access to one at all. It just means that in the sake of patches, you would probably embroider and put your outside patch on and have it ready to go, and then you could put your red in on the inside. And from the way the patches look, I think it's double stitched, where you would do a series of letters that are a little bit skinnier and then go back over them a second time with a slightly larger stitch, because that would raise them up higher. But honestly, looking at the original Ghostbusters patches, they may have just been done by the costume department on a sewing machine freehand, which is fine. Done that too. I did, was part of a Rocky Horror Picture Show cast in the late 80s. And of course I did Eddie and Dr. Scott. And Eddie is the greaser from the freezer, the bat out of hell. He's the biker character that makes a really brief appearance. It's Meatloaf playing the part. One of his first acting gigs. Because he was still, big musician at the time. Anyway, he's wearing a leather vest and has a sunrise that's embroidered across the back of it. And I literally did that. What I mostly did is I took some fabric and put it onto the leather backpack, and then using the wide stitch, right? You've got a stitch that you can go back and forth. That's like 5mm or 1/2 inch or whatever it is. And so did that like embroidery thing to it. And because I had a mechanical machine at the time, as I got to the ends of the tips of those sun rays, I actually dialed down the thickness of the width of the stitch. So I've actually made it taper down to being a point. There's only 5 of them on there, so it wasn't like, I was willing to do it. If it was like Arrows of Chaos, where each tip needed to be perfect, so you go up when 8 times 3 is now 24 to 50. Forget that. No, but that one was it was fun to do and it worked, and I always kind of remembered that. It's so I can appreciate the art of making patches. Hey, there it is. It's noon. Sweet. Bryce New is here. Hey, Odin. Hey, chat. Good to see everyone again. Hello, Bryce. I was talking about my past experiences with embroidery. Probably picked up on that. Stephen All is here. Hello. Louis Causey is here. The white material of logo is moleskin cloth from research. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Today, I'm going to use white EVA foam. White EVA craft foam. I'm getting ready to set up to laser cut these parts. So let's find the pieces I need. I'm going to need some 3mm foam. This one isn't as flat as I want it. I can kind of force it. One of the problems, especially like the 10mm, when you're running this through a laser cutter, is even though I call this back rolling, right? I'm rolling it back against the curl that originally came with. You can do this, you can get it to calm down, but with something thick like 10mm, even though you've done this, once you start cutting stuff out, that little piece is going to lift up inside of the big piece. Also, a problem when you okay, I put weights on it, it's flat now. Great, the corner is, but I cut this part out, it's going to peel up, and that'll catch the laser head, and that could just wreck the whole process. 2 things I do is I either cut stuff out one piece at a time, so if it goes stupid, I'm not ruining the entire project, because I've watched it where I've checked it and it's doing okay, and I go away and I come back 10 minutes later and I check it and the next row's okay, and I go away and I come back, and this last piece down here, that curled up, which moved the thing, and then the laser went across and ruined almost all of them because it cut them all in half. And also that's a way of setting your laser on fire. If you get a piece that doesn't move out of the way and the laser's just constantly hitting it while the laser head's moving, it can heat that one piece up, set it on fire. Yeah, that's, it's freaking lasers! But yeah, moleskin, good to know, and I believe it. Looking at it, there's definitely a cloth background. There is a black cloth background to the name badges that then stitching is on top of, and there's the white cloth, which is moleskin, that the No Ghost is stitched over. Nope, that's well. Sadly, Joann's went out of business, but I bought a bunch of packs of foam before they did. So this gives me an easy piece of flat 2mm foam. There's my rubbing alcohol. And this pack should have red and white in it. Two 2mm white foam and 2mm red foam. Got a fan blowing because it gets stuffy out here, so it's funny to me because I can feel the foam catching the fan. Now, I also want to make sure that I don't just chuck the foam back there and it sits like this, where the corner's lifted up, because it'll get used to that, and now I'll have a Frito chip corner on my foam, and it won't lay flat, which is the whole point of the story with the oven. Okay. So what I want to do. That's 4. I'm going to walk over to where the laser is, and I'm going to set this black piece in. So here's the laser. So one of the things I've done with my X tool, yeah, you probably can't see it. At the top up here is a piece of plastic, and that is giving me a 0 point coming back around to the other camera. So that bit of plastic at the top up there, which is all upside down and backwards, it says top 0 cut line or something like that. I haven't read it in a long time since I made it. There was a point in time when I told my X tool to go ahead and cut at 0mm. So this is the lowest XY point that the machine can cut. And so I made myself these little pieces that go, because the cut tray is bigger than the area that it can cut. And so I made these little pieces as a guide in order to help me figure out, so I can minimize the amount of foam I'm cutting, right? If my foam is at 0, I can just cut 2 or 3 millimeters in, and I've got just a little bit of waste, as opposed to the 1.25 inches that it was. So I'm just not wasting as much foam or other material that I was putting in there. Also, by having 2 or 3 of those cut out, I'm only using 2 right now, that gives me 2 points, and I know that my piece is pretty well set up straight. But then you end up with issues like the edges of foam is never, paper perfect. It's never, it's never guillotine perfect. So you still need to have a little bit of details, right? Whatever. So what are we doing next? Now we're going to go ahead and look at the X tool. I got to remember to actually connect my devices. You don't see it. Do I have to just update it? Do I need to fully do this again? I seem to think it's in there. Ah, there we are. Sort of the Ethernet. It's supposed to be anyway. Great. There it is. That's fine. Oh, okay. Thank you. Getting security alerts off to the side too. All right. Yep, whatever. Okay. So now the X2 has got a onboard camera that has updated the background, so you can barely see. There's still the grid lines here. That's showing me, you know, this is my work area. Here's my pieces. If I just drag them visually over so they are on top of my foam, it should be okay. In the background there, I didn't talk about it, sorry. My laser cutter has slats, meaning it's got these large pieces of metal that lay in there to hold the material up, so as you cut through it, air can go through and it'll support what you're cutting and let the little pieces you don't want drop out. Problem is, I want the little pieces, and when they drop out, they bounce and roll, and the unfocused laser can still hit those foam pieces and destroy them. So I've laid in a piece of aluminum screen material, and I'm hoping that even though it's not perfectly flat, it will be good enough just to save all the little tiny pieces from the Ghostbusters things. I'm going to keep going with this. The truth is, I may only get the name badges done. The tiny pieces that go on the No Ghost logo could very well self-destruct. Okay, so what do I want to do here? I'm looking at, I want black, so I'm going to select the black layer. So I've got all the black layers, including the No Ghost logo. That's just sitting over here. This came when I brought the SVG in. This is the colored one. But the laser program doesn't have a white layer, so it colored them purple instead. Whatever. So down here, I can select the different layers. I've got a black layer, and I've got a blue layer that's within this particular file. In the case of laser, I've got them color separated because I'm going to give them different values. The black layer is going to be a cutting laser, a cutting setting. And the blue is going to be a engraving setting, or in this case, a score setting. So it's actually already marked score. So score is just going to draw an outline in a really faint way, so you end up with like drawing on, in my case, drawing on the foam. Whereas with the black, it's going to cut, and it'll actually cut the pieces out, so it'll be a higher power of laser. Do I already have this? I've gone through user-defined search. I want to find my 2mm foam for cut. I've only got HD foam 6mm. Well, that'll do it, but that's not what I want. Didn't I have I thought I had saved foam core styrene craft foam 5mm. Well, that'll work. Funny that craft foam didn't come up when I tried to look for. Oh, probably because that's right. This isn't a fuzzy search. So if I do capital foam, no, I gotta do the search part. Where's the search at? There it is. If I do capital foam, I'll probably find more than I will lowercase foam. Let's go with that. Wow, I thought I had a 2mm foam preset. Search setting for 2mm. What do I have for 2mm? No result. Great. Do I have 3mm? 3mm. No. Huh. Ah, sorry. I thought I was more set up than this. All right. Power 20, speed 20, that should be okay still. Well, I'm sure this will just blast through it. You could probably make the power less. So we'll go ahead and make that more like 18. And then what I want to do is, here's something I haven't done. Curve outset in millimeters. Compensated width. The width of the laser is about 0.3 millimeters. So let's do that. So, in theory, instead of the laser going straight down the paths, it should be 0.3 millimeter outside of the path. And that should make a really big difference when I'm cutting out like some of these ghost shapes, right? I hope. Especially with like the tiny eyebrows and things. I don't have a lot of hope for some of these parts working, but we're gonna give it a shot. And then with the blue, I want to do the score, and that's going to be on black foam. So that's only going to be 4% power at a much higher speed. So the power rating, that's how much power there is in the laser. You only get 1 to 100. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter what the button up here is saying. It's not like I'm magically changing the setting of the laser. This is just the type of cuts that are categorized to be a scoring cut are generally super low power and many more millimeters per second. So this is going to go 250 millimeters a second. Whereas the cutting laser is, that's not what I wanted to do, I just changed it. There we are. Whereas the cutting paths are going to be at 18% power. Again, this is thin foam, so it doesn't need to be that strong for me. And then 20 millimeters a second. So it's a much slower path. It's a really weird balance figuring out how much power you want to put in the laser and how fast it's going to go, so you don't just roast everything, right? And also, I have read on more than one occasion, as well as my understanding from machines from working with my dad forever, you don't run something at 100% capacity all the time. When these programs first came out, you would hit the factory designated, this is what you want to use for plywood, for 3mm plywood, and it would be, we're running at 100% power at this speed. It's like, I don't want to burn my tube out that fast. I'm going to run it at 90% power and a little bit slower, and it still cuts just fine. But that's me. So the other thing I need to do is I need to tell it what the material is. Well, I don't have to tell it what the material is. This is predetermined materials. I don't care about the library because they don't have what I want to use, but I do have to tell it that it's going to be it's 2mm thick, because it's 2mm thick foam. Then we do our process, and it thinks about it. They just updated, so this is fun for me a little bit because I haven't seen all this before. Okay, got it. I got a bottle in the way. I can't read all that. A bottle of, say, hand sanitizer. Alrighty. Oh, and I can actually turn the path preview on now, huh? Used to just do it automatically. So the red line is showing me this is the origin where the laser is going to start and in what order it's going to cut. So it'll cut out SG's outline, then it'll do the Odin outline and so forth, and then it'll actually cut out all the bits and pieces. It's estimating at 4 minutes for cutting. So I can hit start here, and now it's don't leave the device unattended. Don't run away from the warning sign. So now it's all set to go, and I have to walk over and actually hit ready on Mr. Machine. So, yeah, okay. which camera was that? All right. Sorry, I'm not there. So there's a safety button over here I actually have to physically touch to start the process. Careful, Odin, you're going to get hit in the head by a moving laser. So, me putting the letter outlines in beforehand, like I'm doing, like what's happening right now, that's a gluing guide. That's 100% all that's for. It's so I know where the letters are supposed to go, and I know, that is as accurate as my original artwork was, basically. And I didn't tell the engraving to do an offset, so those should be fine. Doing an offset with a cut hopefully will get me an exactly shaped piece. This is something new for me to use, and is actually new in this program, is having that offset. I've used to have to actually compensate for that. The laser having, the lines have thickness, and having to give that cut line, in order to make things fit, right? In the sense of, I want stuff to fit together perfectly like Gunpla. Yeah, that's not going to happen. But I was trying, and so I'd have to move the laser back and forth in order to compensate for that. Alrighty. What's new? Okay. Oh, I see. Well, I'm glad I'm using my black magic to do the streaming, because it seems like my computer froze up. Let's refresh this. They are not becoming responsive. All right. Oh. Okay. Oh, right. Well, I don't have chat anymore. Why? Because the computer's talking to the laser and not to YouTube. Oops. Sorry. All right. Well. Okay. Well, I'm not going to be able to, yeah. I lost chat. That's great. Haven't got any messages on the phone from SG or anyone telling me that the stream died, so pretty sure it's still going out okay, because I've got a machine that's hardwired to the internet. Let's log into my own chat. Make sure this is quiet. And here. I have never tried to, there we go. Now I want to watch on YouTube. Hey, I see me using the phone. Good. That means everything's still going okay. Now I want to see the chat here on my phone so I can actually be part of this. All I'm seeing is, wow, I don't, oh, this is awesome. All right. La-di-da. All right. Well. Yeah. That actually might have worked. Some of this might have worked. Loads of micro pieces. And what's fun also is you get the burnt outline. Oh wow. There's a hand. That's the mouth. The screen worked. I'm saving parts. Oh, this is... These are crazy tiny parts. These are the smallest pieces of foam that I've intentionally cut out. I might have to get blue tape out here just so I can pick them up. Oh, is it fitting to... Some of these parts are actually fitting through the window screen mesh. Okay, what do we got? About something that isn't bright white and horrible blinding. I'm probably missing parts, but what's interesting to me is looking at this, it's like I'm picking up pieces of cartoon. Okay, so something shrank here. Oh, I probably just squeezed it when I picked it up. Oh, it's not even on screen. Here, let's go back to being... Well, I guess this close you can see, right? There we are. I can look at it upside down so you guys can see it right. Yeah, this is what I was laughing at. Here are the smallest pieces of foam I have intentionally cut out. And some of these are probably... No, that's an eye! That's a working eye! Good luck gluing these in, numbnuts! Oh, this is awesome. So I've got... here's another mouth up here. I got 3 mouths. I've got... That should be a lower lip. Not sure what this piece is right now. That should a couple of those. Thing is, they're laying down sideways because they're... Oh yeah, that's like an eyebrow that's been that's so fine it's cooked itself to being even thinner than what I wanted, which is okay. That was kind of expected. I don't want to count them up right now. I'm definitely missing parts. The thing is, the eyes, right? Like here's a pair of eyes. These have gotten so small, they still fall through the window screen that I've got across my laser to catch them. But I wanted to see if I could do this. Now, as a regret, I didn't do the on the 2mm backing. I didn't do the. You can still see some of the smoking from. This is scarring and scoring from sitting on the aluminum window screen. That aluminum, it's aluminum window screen, by the way, because the laser is not strong enough to cut aluminum. But still, it'll heat up and then flash a little bit when it goes across the wire, so it scores it. So this, the backside's got these grill marks. Oh, I got more parts over here. But then the this this is an air bubble in the foam. So this little dot is an air bubble in the foam. Not a big deal. I can cut out another one. I'm just going to go with this for right now. But all of these worked out just fine. Right? Oh man, Felicia's got the. All right, maybe I do need to cut them out again. Felicia's got the. That's what the label was. The little, T mark. All right, I'll cut a couple new of those. Come on, man. Come on. There we go. Get out of focus zoom. And I've still got pieces here. And I went and put all these little tiny parts on my red foam. So I was going to get another sheet of red foam. But first, I'm going to put the black back in and cut out the name tags again. No, here's an eyeball. You can definitely see that the, well, I can, the amount of space for, the lines are like bolded, right? They're much wider than, and the hand is way smaller than it should be, because I told it to cut on the outside in order to get the pieces the size that I want. So I'm curious how accurate this is. And that one still got the eyebrow stuck on his forehead. Is there any more little pieces on here? I don't see any. Okay, a couple pieces here. So I'm going to take this piece of foam and go put it back into the machine, and I'll cut out a new name for me and for Felicia, and I'm not going to do anything else yet. I'll just get ones that don't have the little punch out for. Oh wow! I've still got pinholes through this from the start and stop. I can definitely. Okay, I'll cut out all three. The engraving that I did. You guys can't see this. There, you can see it. So the corners, every time the laser start and stopped, the corner burnt through the foam. And then of course I got those two big staple holes where the plastic swing tag was attaching the retail to the foam. That's a standard thing. That's just part of the problem of buying craft foam, whatever. But yeah, so anyway, I'm going to cut these again that don't have all the holes. You can kind of see the little stars in there, barely. Anyway, I'm going to cut these again. So I got to just remember which camera is which. This so I don't lose my parts. I will probably need to go get myself another piece of red out of the package. Alright, so you see I've got it set up again with the previous cuts way off to the side. I'll cut in the corner over here again to get the new pieces that I want. I'm going to need to go with, yeah. So finished. Now what I want to do specifically is just grab these parts and I'm going to tell it to not output them. So I'm only going to cut out the names again, right? Because that's the only part I really want to cut out right now. And I'm going to tell the engraving to be a heck of a lot lower. Let's go 2 and then speed it up. I just need, 250 is it. All right, then we're gonna go power 1, dude. That should be fine. The color of the foam changes how well the laser works as well. Black, of course, absorbs light, so it cuts really well. White reflects light, so you need a slightly stronger laser setting to cut through it. But it becomes a weirdness of how much can you do it before you turn it into toasted marshmallow. So I got those going. And then, but I don't care, the cut worked fine, as far as I can tell. Processing wants to continue. Yeah, that's fine, we'll continue. I don't mind it being 1%. Here we are. Start. And after this, I will see if I can't get my connection to the internet back so I can see your comments. And I forgot to cut the camera, sorry. This is supposed to take 1.5 minutes. Yeah. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I'm going to cut this again. Okay. I laid the foam back in, and I made sure that across the top up there, where I've got my top guides, I was up against it, so I knew I was at 0. I was more worried about how to figure out how to get the chat to come back by reconnecting through the Ethernet instead of through Wi-Fi to the laser, because that killed my internet to the laptop. What I didn't do was recenter my cuts onto where the foam actually was. So as it cuts here, well, that is right there. I may have to cut this a third time because I may not have enough of the bottom edge, you know, right here, right? This, there it is. this edge here, you can see up by SG, there's a tiniest sliver of foam there that didn't get cut. And that may or may not be enough to be able to use this. I might have cut it off the foam, meaning that the piece is going to be tall enough now, so I'll have to cut it a third time probably. Hopefully that makes sense. Might be okay. That is crazy tiny. Okay, so cut, and we are finished with that. And what I didn't do is I didn't refresh it. Now, is that still this button? I just want to refresh. Do you automatically refresh? There used to be a button over here for the tool to tell it to refresh. Ah, here we are. Right? Yes, refresh background. They changed things, they updated things. So, refresh succeeded. There we go. All right. Well, now I've got an itch here, but who cares? So we're just going to just process these again anyway. Wow, it's still burnt through. At 1% and moving as fast as it can, it still goes all the way through at the corners. So that's what it's going to be. Continue. I haven't completed laser safety training. Yeah. Laser safety training. Don't use a laser on your tongue. There's more to it than that. I'm getting told the chat, I fully killed the chat. Sorry. Let's get this going again. I hope. My apologies. Yeah, they're a little short. Actually, only one is. Only Felicia's is short. That's not intentional. Everything else is fine, but I get a new set cut out anyway, so who cares? There we go. Okay. Yeah, it's still burnt through. It's not as bad, but the laser stopping at the corners is still punching all the way through this thin foam. What a shock! But that's okay. So otherwise, I'm okay with these, and these should be fine. They're cut more from the inside. So what I really need to do is figure out. Can I please connect to a device? different way. Switch device. Add device. Using IP or Ethernet, please. Ah, dang you. All right, we're going to go with save. Well, I think it auto saves. That's kind of a huge thing to guess on. File, save. And just close. Thank you. All right, I don't need two of me on there. I don't want to exit pages. Can, because I've had the power. I've had the computer totally shut down on me before. It says I have internet again. I'm gonna reopen and see if chat can come back. You know the important part of this? Say you've got internet. Come on, computer. This is exciting TV. Let's watch Odin do freaking tech support. So I can hook up the laser with USB to try and not have this be a continuous problem. There we are. No. Come on, computer. Wow, I just killed it. I'm connected to the internet. All right, then act like it. What happened to What happened to Google? What happened to my? Well, joy. Not happy. Brought everything to a screaming halt. All right. Gonna pick up where I was? I believe so. Good. Chat. Oh, good. You guys have continued on with chat. I thought the whole chat died. Oh, that's great. Okay, so once I connected to my laser with my Wi-Fi, it's like, oh, I'll just do that. Sure, fine. It killed all other internet connection to the laptop that I'm also using to watch all the chat from you guys. So I haven't seen anything. In addition to that, it killed Chrome. Chrome's refusing, because I use Chrome as my browser for connecting to YouTube because it made sense to me. I've been a Chrome user for a long time. Chrome's dead. It refuses to connect to anything. So, Microsoft Edge, logged in. I've got chat back. And now I've also tried to hook up the laser with the USB. So hopefully this won't happen again, because I don't have any more installed browsers. Welcome to the Odin Makes Tech Support Nightmare. Okay, where are we at here? Lewis is asking, what's the status on the goggles kits? That's a great question. I'm pretty much ready to go with them. I think the biggest thing I need is to get an instructional video shot. And I've been trying to do that more or less. There's a certain amount of, I run out of steam after working my 9 to 5. And then both last weekend and this weekend, other things have come up to where I haven't been able to commit to being in the shop for 6 or 7 hours to get the video shot. So those two things together. Now I could just start churning out kits, I suppose, and I could start getting them in the mail, and then I could start working on getting the instructional video made. So probably need to do that. But that's kind of where it's at, I guess. File-wise, I believe I'm all set up to be able to go. I believe I got everything cut, everything made, everything ready to be able to make the goggle kits, to be able to put them out and get them shipped out. What I don't have is really good written instructions, because I never planned on making really good written instructions. What I planned on making was a video for it with some written instructions. And I actually started working on some of the graphics for doing that. But I haven't gotten into the shop to do the actual shooting portion of it. And instead of doing the same live stream all over again that I did a month ago, I did this instead today. Bryce New, hey Odin chat, good, all catching up, okay. Let's go, can't wait to see how this turns out, great. Hey Bruce, can you straighten it with your heat gun on the workbench? Yes, I can straighten out foam with the heat gun on the workbench instead of using the stove. The stove was just a quick and easy and efficient way to get it to be completely flat. And it was very fast. People will be nice to each other. The first Dragon Master popped in half an hour ago. I did not know that. Bryce New is saying, fun fact, if you didn't know, the Ghost and the No Ghost logo is called Moogle. Okay. Really? Isn't that also very close to a name from the characters in Final Fantasy? One of the characters? Can I zoom? Oh, good, I can zoom. Lewis, I'd have Felicia would have been part of the logo construction. Yeah. I did most of the work, most of the computer work on the couch. I was hoping Felicia was going to be able to make it today. This is the only thing I was set up and ready to do today, so going through with it. Hello, 17th Samurai Spirited. Interesting. Lewis is saying, I wonder if the old Kenner-style Ghostbusters logo that have connections like basketball caps could be done with foam. Don't know. That'd be interesting. To do a more cartoon... That's interesting. Got on TikTok the other day. Thought it was you. Thank you, Lewis. Jerry Can Cosway says, I have no idea what's going on. I'm sorry, Jerry. Yeah, well, I'm trying to make Ghostbusters patches for the uniforms out of foam, and I'm currently very slowly in the process of cutting parts out. At this point, I'm trying to catch up on... Oh, cool, Wolf Riders at GalaxyCon in St. Louis. Trying to catch up on chat. Because when I hooked up the laser just a moment ago to get these parts cut out, I killed my internet connection, right? Which, if I was solely going through the computer, would have totally killed the stream. I'm going through a different little device. You can barely see in the corner down here. That does hardware encoding and directly sends it out to the internet from that piece of hardware, which that saved my butt more than once. In the old studio, I've had like the power go out or the computer just freeze up and die and crash. And both times, because we had backup on our internet and other things, this little box kept chugging along. I'm really very happy with the Blackmagic Atom Mini Pro and the Mini Pro ISO. These are, yeah, worth the money, and they're not that expensive. Who's SG? Security guard? SG is Shop Gremlin, Mighty Guitar Mods. Oh yeah, look, Shop Gremlin says me. Oh yeah, I'm catching up. Okay, let me jump back over to... not that one. Oh right, I killed it. I have to open it up again. I need to actually open up my Xtool Studio and start cutting the white stuff. Okay. Let's get this back to that. I'm still logged in. That's good. I want to open... No, I don't want to do that. I want to open this one. And... waiting for it to load. There we go. Okay. Oh, I can't see it, so I got to turn that off so I can see this part. I'm going to go to the white foam canvas, and on this canvas, it's going to be two millimeters thick. I want these guys to cut 1414. That's great. That should be fine because it's white. I'm going to need to... Ready! Oh, you think you're there. Well, then refresh. Are you actually there? Did I kill the internet again? No, I didn't. Good. Okay. You found it through USB. Thank you very much. Alrighty. Curve offset. I don't think I can offset this. Oh, I can offset this in a negative. I don't want to offset it. Oh, that's an interesting thought I hadn't considered before. I'm cutting outside lines and inside lines. Well, let's just let this cut it. Let's just not do an offset. So, as I'm cutting this, right, all the eyes, if I did an outside, it would do it in the face area, making the eyes bigger. but I want that to happen on the body pieces. So all the inside holes would actually have to be a different layer that I don't have set up. So let's just cut 3 and see what happens. I guess I'm going to walk off and forget to do the whole cut to the other angle. Okay. What? Lines have thickness? Next, they were trying to tell me the world is round. I'll never tell you. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Security card is somewhat accurate too for SG. Yeah, it is, Ralph. Thank you. The world's need round or flat. It's cubed. Yes. Lines cracked from the wind. Micro pieces. Wow, quite precise. Buddy Guitar Mods, I'm catching up on chat. Yeah, I watched a classmate pick up pieces of cartoon once in high school. Mental note, do not do acid before going to class. I had a friend who dropped acid, then went to go see the Beatles' Yellow Submarine movie. He said it was interesting because it wasn't like, Hollywood, wah! But it was more like, while you're watching it, as it was projected on a rug, and someone was constantly changing the nap of the rug back and forth. You know how you rub your arm on it, and the rug will kind of stand up, and everything looks darker, and then you can go back the other way with the nap, and everything lays down, and everything looks brighter. He said that just kind of kept happening through the whole thing, like he was really focusing on the film grain and not on the psychedelics of the animation. Black's FX paint may be suitable to replace missing pieces. Correct. And Shadowlands Radio came in with a $5 super chat. Hey, Odin, I just got back from pumpkin carving for a local public park. That's awesome. Did 2 pumpkins in bat form. That's very cool. One of the last pumpkins I legitimately carved for Halloween and not for a stream or some other project was it was a crescent moon behind clouds. So the moon was a full cutout, and then I did varying layers of carving into the skin for the clouds in order to get, different light levels. It kind of worked. It was neat. One of the first times I'd done that. What? I'm buying crap foam? Hell yeah. Buy crap foam if you can. Looks like the white's cutting fine. Am I going to make a Dr. Doom prop for Avengers Doomsday? Possibly. The phone moved as well. Oh, did it? Oh, I didn't see the phone moved. Thank you for watching for that. There's never any life in the chat anyhow. I'll have to replace the... Ooh, that moved on me fast. Where am I at? Oh, wow. There we are. Resilience trying to ask, how often do I have to replace the window screen, or is that just visual damage from... this is the first time I've tried using the window screen as a way of supporting the foam while I'm cutting it out. The darkness should just be the black smoke of the disintegrated foam hitting the and being cooked onto the screen. It's an aluminum screen, and the CO2 laser of my X-Tool P2 is not strong enough to cut metal. Now that doesn't mean that in time it will end up dying. That's very possible, but so far it hasn't been an issue, and I've only done 3 or 4 projects. Something I did do that I wanted to get put together this morning but failed was I bought a window screen kit from the hardware store, and what I wanted to do with this was literally cut out a frame that would fit in place of the slats inside the P2, and it could be completely flat instead of just having it binder clipped to a couple of the slats. But yep, decided getting stuff ready so I could kill my internet for the stream was more important. Let's go open the laser up. Looking like it's just fine. Cut out some red, and then I can start gluing. I am going to go ahead and get a... I'm not going to mess with this. I'll get another piece of bread and stick it in there. Pointed at a air bubble, and I want to have it appear in the middle of the letters or in front of the no logo. Okay, so now what I want to do is, we finished with that. I want to go ahead and get the red. Oh, I can't be on the screen. 2mm red foam. There it is. I don't need this here, although I guess it doesn't really matter. I'm going to pick all this, and we're going to cut 1817. That's probably fine. Output thickness is a 2mm because it's just 2mm foam. That's good. And the other thing I need to do, because these little tiny, these are not going to cut out the way I want them to. These are going to vaporize, but we'll give it a shot. I am going to use the kerf offset again of 0.3. I haven't tried it yet, so I could be wrong with that, but give it a shot. Process. The letters will be fine. It's just if the puzzle pieces fit together right. Okay. Back on here. I'm going to go start here. Then we're going to go to the laser. Hit the button on the laser and start! Thank you! Okay, so I've got, can't really show you these very well. Okay. So I've got lower body parts. Yeah, these don't fit for shit. Okay. Y'all, this is Happy Sunday, everyone. Is this thing on? Yeah, pretty much. It's still catching up. Sorry, guys. And I know how to shut up Copilot if you need help. Appreciate that, Yonolith. Nope, not the whole chat, just the important bits. Like when Danny said, you may have to use your phone. I tried! Is the listing made on the website for you able to go live? Yes, I need to get the listing made on the website. So, Lewis was asking about the goggles kits. I've already talked with Shock Gremlin and Jerry a little bit. The Odin Makes website is going to be able to handle the orders themselves. So instead of going through a third party like Etsy or eBay or anything else where they'll take a chunk of it, I can go through the Odin Makes website and I'm only paying the purchasing fees that go to Squarespace or wherever because money's being transferred. There are no additional listing fees or anything else. So that'll help keep the cost of the kit down and help keep the amount that I'm making off the kits up. So I'm looking forward to doing that. What kind of laser am I using? The first Dragon Master asked a while ago. I'm using a X-Tool P2 laser. It's a CO2 laser. Yeah, still alive. Nice. Sharp Shot EFX says, foam patches is always a cool idea. When I did my Sleepy Hollow Hassan, the axe appliques and the gloves were just painted foam that was sewn on, and then I used pen to draw the embroidery lines, which is really cool. Oh, Bryce says, sorry, Odin, his name is pronounced Roog Lee. Okay. First I saw it. Been working on a bunch of other projects. Back and get updates on Shock Gremlin's adventures in the emergency room. Alrighty, so finally caught up to the bottom where Lewis asked me, Odin, what is a strong material to make a Santa belt buckle and belt from? I've been asked to do Santa for kids, but the costume belt is pure crap. Belt buckle. Oh, thank you. Rizalin says it sounds like a good idea with the silk screen, with the window screen as far as... Oh, it only cut out 2. Why did it only cut out 2? I thought it totally cut out 3. I must have not told one to cut. Alright, well, that's fine. We'll see if these work, and if they're wrong, then I've got less wrong parts. Strong material for a Santa belt buckle. If it's strictly a costume belt buckle and it's not going to be used for any weight bearing, you could 3D print one and then sand it down smooth and paint it up to be brass, right? Because to me, Santa's got the big square gold belt buckle, right? It would be possible and a heck of a lot of work to just get a piece of brass sheet. Which is effectively what the crap belt buckle is, right? And you could cut that with a coping saw, one of those little, like, diamond saws, or with a scroll saw. And then there's a lot of sanding to get it to be smoothed out. And then if you want it to actually have 3 dimensions, you're going to have to hammer it a little bit. It's a big pain in the ass. You always ask Ralph to melt you one. No. Yeah, unless you can make it out of metal, it's not going to be able to be load bearing. It's going to have to be a completely costume belt buckle, right? So it's being cut out of, I mean, you can literally cut it out of, if you wanted to be beefier looking, right? You could probably even just cut it out of a heavy-duty particle board like MDF, which still isn't strong, but you can do all the sanding to it. You can do all the you can make all the sides be radius, so it isn't just a straight up and down cut, and then coat it with 5-minute epoxy and sand it smooth, and then maybe a second coat of 5-minute epoxy, and then you can start painting it up as if it was brass, and you should be able to get it to be pretty smooth and get it to be pretty beefy looking. But honestly, without just finding one out of metal or making one out of metal, it's like, I wonder if you couldn't effectively 3D print or make one from like MDF or some other dense material. Don't do acrylic. Polycarbonate could work. That's not as easy. It's easy to work with, but right? Acrylic is really going to be really easy to crack, so don't even try acrylic. Polycarbonate as a material, you can at least cut that with wood tools in your shop, right? It's very forgiving as a plastic. Just don't let it get too heated up, because it can, the edges could scorch and melt. So when you're cutting it, make sure you're using a plastic type of blade to cut it with, so you don't turn your edges into burnt boogers. But once you've got like a shape, I wonder how hard it would be to come back with a copper or brass like adhesive tape and put on it. And not even necessarily ones that, I mean, a metallic tape that looks like brass should be fine, but I know you can get adhesive copper. I wonder if you can get a thin adhesive brass and then use that in order to make the belt look metallic, even though it's made out of some other dimensional material that isn't metal. And then the issue is going to be, if you don't have a single piece of brass tape that's big enough to do it all in one shot, You're going to have seams in the corners. So if you make your Santa belt slightly fancier with extra flourish bits added to the corners that are there to hide the seams of the tape, I wonder if that could work out. And as far as the actual tongue piece that goes like through, like you've got your rod down the center of your belt buckle, and you've got your tongue that goes through the belt that actually holds things, just use a real one, right? Find a real one that's going to be the right size, even if you have to spray paint it. There's no point at all in reworking that. Yeah. Not sure. You know, I'd have no problem just making one out of foam, but making a foam one and then having kids sit in my lap for pictures, that's different, right? Because it's going to get bent, it's going to get folded, it's going to get kicked, it's going to get, you know, if I was strictly wearing it and walking around a con, it wouldn't be a problem. But if you're putting on a Santa belt, my assumption is you're doing Santa photos or doing interactions, and your foam is not going to be what I recommend. Yeah, I hope I throw out ideas that help you. I did find 3D files. I was just worried about warpage or breakage. Yeah, cutting board material. No, that's a good idea. Dan does junk. Do it. Shop Gremlin can answer this better than I can, but you, with your 3D printing slicer, assuming you're using a filament printer, you should be able to tell it how many walls you want the outside of the belt buckle to be. Usually, one or two. It's my understanding. I'm not that good with it, right? 1 or 2 walls is kind of standard. That's sort of the default the machines are set to. Set yours to 5. Something kind of really thick and ridiculous. Or, you know, if you want, print it at nearly 100% infill. Don't go ahead and do it at like 80. Some huge dumb. It's a belt buckle, right? It's big, but it's not. You're not printing. You know, you're not printing a skull. So do it at a much higher infill with more wall thickness, and you'll probably do really good. And honestly, if you have the ability to print ABS, print the belt buckle with a higher wall count, with a higher infill out of ABS, and then do what's called a vapor bath. And this is small enough you can actually do this with just a piece of Rubbermaid, you know, cheap Tupperware. You're going to take a couple. You can take a tub, the one I got set up, say this side of the room. But you're going to take a tub. You're going to line it with paper towels, and then you're going to pour acetone and soak the paper towels. And then make sure you can still get the lid on. And then it's been my experience, it's better to take a piece of cardboard with aluminum foil on it, and you put your ABS. It has to be ABS or ASA. Only those work with a vapor bath. And so then you take your printed belt buckle and set it on top of your aluminum foil piece, and then set that inside of your Rubbermaid or your airtight container that's got thimbles or something to hold it up off the bottom, so there's airflow underneath it, underneath the cardboard, right? So the belt buckle's on the cardboard. Cardboard's on some sort of stand that's above the wet plywood. Let's go ahead and get big. And then you put the lid on, and it only needs to sit in there for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. That's it. And what happens is the print lines melt. It causes the outside of your 3D print to liquefy, and then once it's been in long enough that it looks glossy, because it'll look wet and glossy, although when you first pull it out you may still see layer lines, you lift it out by the cardboard and don't touch it, and do this outside, and then set it down and let it air out and finish drying. What's going to happen is the acetone is going to evaporate and flash off of your off of the ABS filament, and once that's finished evaporating, you're going to end up with something that is effectively liquid smooth. It would be like overfilling a glass, and you got that surface tension in the top of the glass where it's got that, it's all perfectly round, it'll have that same type of look. It is possible to get like an antique glass look to it a little bit, but still all that should work for a belt buckle, and it'll end up being like crazy gloss, and really it looks like antique glass, and then you can paint it to make it look like the color you want, and that should work. That should be okay, but it's plastic, right? It's not metal, so and there's not a lot of extra setup. It is really very simple. Shock Brelin and I have done this a number of times for a couple of different prints. We've done it for some droid parts for R2 the D Squad. We did it for the giant Emmy builds. And recently, Frankly Built over on his channel has started doing vapor bath for his Iron Man costumes because of how quickly you get this crazy gloss smooth finish. So if you have the ability to print ABS, look into that. ABS is tricky. It needs a higher bed temperature. You might need a bed adhesive in order to help keep it glued to the bed. You're going to need a controlled printing area. Basically, you need to make sure your printer's enclosed so you don't have air moving over your print while it's printing, because if the previously deposited filament cools faster than what you're printing, you're going to get layer separation and it's going to warp. So there's like things that go along with printing ABS. It's a little more tricky than PLA, but it's not impossible. Museum Dave, the vapor bath process is fascinating. Hopefully, if I ask really nicely, maybe a cryptid would be willing to bring a piece out. I know, like you saw in the chat, they were in the emergency room earlier, so expecting him to get up off the couch is not fair. So I can, if you guys don't mind, I can either walk in and go grab a piece and show you what happened, or we'll have to wait till next time. Let's go look at the red stuff. Light went out, so it's dark. Yeah, the fingers are just gone. Gone, poof, evaporated. Just no fingers, all gone. I come back and we'll take a look at the red parts. And, oh look, something appeared. So I got my red parts. Yeah, the finger piece is just totally gone. Okay, so this is L337. This is the droid from Solo, right? This is the Navicomputer for the Millennium Falcon. And all of these parts are printed in ABS, and all of these parts have been vapor bathed. And there's a different, what am I trying to say here? There's a different quality of how well it worked depending on how closely together the layer lines were. So I'm going to rip her head off. Should be able to get it over here in front of camera 4, which is zoomed in. So this is the very top, right, where it's a very shallow, big steps of layer lines, very shallow curve. So this didn't work so well. This would go down if we left it in the vapor bath longer, but then you run into the issue of possibly eliminating the detail lines that you want. Let me just take the top of the head off and get this a little further away from the camera. But when you go out to the edge, so if you're to print the belt buckle on its side, like out here, you can see I've actually got a reflection, right? Where's a better one? There we are with some light. So here you can see where the antique glass look is coming in with it reflecting the light. This is this still isn't that big of a print height. It's a finer layer height than here, because as the curve up the head increases, the distance between the layer lines increases, right? But here, so if you were to print your belt buckle not flat, but print it on edge or even kind of on an angle a little bit, so you can force your lines to go closer together. This is, I think, 40 minutes in a vapor bath for the individual parts. And then I glued them together after the fact with just ABS glue, this green ABS glue from the hardware store, right? So this is just right out of the plumbing sprinkler department. This is just the ABS glue from Home Depot gluing it together. And this texture is the texture from the bed. This side was against the aluminum foil when it did the vapor bath, because this side was what was exposed. And so this portion here, where the lines are really close to each other, this worked out crazy well. And it is ABS, it'll continue to melt. So even though we haven't, because I haven't really decided what we want to do yet, it is feasible to sand this, opening up the ABS again, and then put it into the vapor bath again, and that should melt it more. But there is the possibility of if I sand too much in one area and not as much in another area, I'll be thinning out the walls, and that could cause divots to happen, just because the walls have become thinner and they're going to sag into the fill, right? That's inside the print. But yeah, that is I think it was a 30-minute vapor bath is all that was. There's some others. No, I'll go to a small part now that I've zoomed out. But same thing. Here's a here's a piston rod for her neck that was printed in ABS, and then vapor bath. This was, I think, 40 minutes. Now I want to zoom in again. And then we also, now you can see there's some warpage there. That's because this was 3D printed as the 4mm rod for her neck, but there was the rafting and stuff because it was printed flat, right? So the bits that held this in place while it was printing, I had to shave all those off, and I wasn't terribly careful doing it. I was just being pretty rough with it, and just literally, you know how you take your knife and you just scrape it on edge like this. I don't want to touch it because it's all shiny now. That's all I did to clean this up. I didn't do anything super. I didn't try that hard, and I was able to get it to be still fairly glossy for a rod. It still fit inside of the part, which my 1/4-inch aluminum that I had, because I have a 1/4-inch aluminum rod, but that's like 4.5 millimeters thick, and that doesn't fit. So this all fit together, and then there's just all the other little bits and pieces inside the neck. So you can see the light still catches layer lines, but it's got it, you know, like this up here is doing really good. Oh, I got pieces that fell. Oh, those are, yeah, got some extra pieces and they're loose. But anyway, yeah, that's vapor bathing, and it doesn't care what color it is. So again, you can kind of see it's got. I can still see the layer lines. We could leave it in longer. I was really worried with the Emmys. We would leave this in for up to 2 hours, and that worked great because an Emmy is a trophy. Keep on saying tortilla is a trophy that you know, it's all melted melted looking metal anyway, right? So leaving it in for 2 hours, which really smoothed out the surface, was fine. It wasn't a big deal. We still had to go back and do a bunch of fill in where all the seams were because we couldn't just print one big 8-foot piece. But still, it cut down so much on sanding and getting her ready for finish. This was only half an hour. So the longer you leave your ABS in, the better you're going to get those wavy lines to go away. Now, I dropped parts. Let me make sure I don't step on any of L337's parts because they're black on the ground. There it is. By the way, thank you, Shop Gremlin, for bringing the pieces in. But yeah, it's... Is it perfect glass smooth? Again, this has got some pretty heavy layer lines, right? I mean, this is a layer, then over here is another layer. So this probably could have used a little sanding first. in order to make it go away. But at what point are you in danger of losing the curve? And how much do I need to worry about that? I'm still trying to figure that out. But yeah, that's that's a half an hour of vapor bath. You see which end pieces were sitting up and which ends were sitting down. All sorts. This model's from Droid Depot, by the way. That's where this STL came from. And her neck was made so a 14 millimeter aluminum rod, or 14 millimeter rod, could fit through it. And I happen to have an old busted tripod where the tripod leg was 14 millimeters, so it was great. But yeah, it's still, even though the inside effectively, because I set this like this inside the vapor bath, or that way, because this side's glossy. So I set it inside this way in order to let it sit in the vapor bath. So technically the inside has changed slightly, but because it melted, right? But it still has enough tolerance that it fits the 14 millimeter like it's supposed to. And this isn't a sag. You can see how the sag, it wobbles. That's not a sag by vapor bathing. That's actually the way the piece is modeled, because this is a flexible neck, so it's made to not be perfectly straight. Give me a second to set this over here safely so it doesn't fall on the floor. I don't want to fix anything. I'd rather just stay the way it is. There we go. Sorry you're stuck on that screen while I was doing that. But, yeah. So that would be a way of getting a glossy belt buckle. So I'm gonna have to get going on this, or we're not gonna make it today. We've got a No Ghost logo with a lower body that fits pretty good. This I was seeing wasn't fitting as well. This fits, but it's got a big gap. Basically, I think I need to figure out. Well, I don't know. Do I care? There's that. Do I care? Do I need to care? Got his hand, which fits in here. Looks like there was some warpage happening with the. Okay. Okay. He's still got a piece of the. He's still got a piece of his eyes and stuff stuck inside. That's funny. I need to get centered up here again. The little tiny piece of eyebrow that's still stuck up in there. So he goes there. Okay, this is let me go ahead and do this again. So a really good, a really intelligent question at this point is, hey Odin, when you actually do this, how the F are you going to glue it down? It's probably just going to be super glued. I don't see how else I can do this. It's going to be putting down a lot of super glue and mashing it together so it actually glues. So it actually stays together. I've got contact cement, and I can do some contact cement. Oh, come on, I got pieces. I'm fighting this. Yeah, I really have to put it on top of what I don't want to put it on top of. Sorry, I'm off screen. I'm looking at what I'm doing in front of me instead of what's on screen. Okay. For reference, the grid here, that's 1/2 inch, which is, what is that in real world units? Set it to millimeters. So the grid is, yeah, it's 13 millimeters or so. So that's how big this grid is. That's how tiny these parts are. So where's the mouth? Okay, that's got, you can see on camera the grid line between the ghost's body, I lost it, there it is, and the mouth. So if I wanted to really tweak on this hard, I would have to set the offset for the mouth to be on the inside, right? So I've got better tolerance between the two. But yeah, there's a gap here. What have I got that's not what we're looking at? Colored foam to the rescue! All right. It just totally fell apart. Impatience to screw everything up. Welcome to the world of yellow. All right. So this is a piece. So there's two things I could do. I could increase the offset on the black parts. I'm not against that. That might be the right choice. Or my other option is I can try and reset all the white pieces to offset so I get the black pieces. But if I make the black pieces with an offset of 0.6 instead of 0.3, I think it'll be fine. Maybe do 0.5. So I have made foam stuff like this before as foam signs. All the signage of the booth that I've got set up for when I do cosplay repair, I made all that, but it was a much bigger, different scale than this is. So here's the mouth. This is totally going to be a, put it in with I've got two things going on: static electricity and the fan. I'm also seeing that the burnt edges from the foam is discoloring the yellow a little bit. I'm not seeing it on the camera, but in life there is some smudging happening from me forcing things around because I'm trying to make this work with my big old fingers instead of just getting a pair of tweezers, which I don't have one out here with me. But, okay, so this is pretty much working. I think what I want to do is recut the black pieces and increase the outset kerf to make it 0.5 millimeter instead of 0.3 millimeter. That'll probably make it really, really tight and snug. So, okay, the No Ghost logo is actually kind of working. That's really very surprising. And if I did the whole thing on the backing board instead. All right. Now, I got these, but for whatever reason, the letters didn't cut out. So, back to the drawing board. Somebody said it moved. Huh. I'm going to go ahead and these pieces specifically, I'll move their compensation up. Make them a little bolder. Thank you, Bryce. Bryce is saying, wow, the detail is amazing in this. I carry a little spray bottle for static. It keeps me cool. Thank you. That's the back of her head. Right. Oh, good. Giving details of the print. Louis Causey, that is correct. It would look really cool if it was 3D cut from 1/4-inch wood and much larger. Yes, and I've seen that done, and I've been tempted to do that with a couple different things, making a more dimensional shape. And that was partly what I wanted to do with the badges, making a little bit taller outside frame than the inside to give it a little bit of dimension. But because these are uniform parts and they're going to be, I'm going to rub up, brush up against somebody. I wanted to not have as much to catch, right, to cause problems. So let me see why did the red not cut? Let's just tell these to not cut. Don't output. I want to refresh. Where's the red at? I put it back in there, didn't I? Yeah, I did. Oh, okay. Oh, is that what I did? Yeah, well, if it just cut like that, then no wonder, the letters didn't show up. Big shock. All right. I don't know what I'm doing. No, really, I know what I'm doing. No, really. No, I don't. Okay. Process. Hopefully we're only getting letters this time. Yeah. It's only going to take 2 minutes to cut. So I'll go over to... No, I cut too soon. I can't see it. If you can't see it, I can't see it. Start. There we go. There we go. Now we're getting some letters. And here's the, let's catch up with comments. Got 2 minutes to catch up with comments. The original Mowgli had a lump on the right shoulder. Give it a wee bit of a Quasimodo look. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think... Right. I remember seeing something like that, and with the one example I was working with, it wasn't as easy. Save the laser info. I'd like to buy and try making at my library or makerspace with their laser. Okay, Lois. Lewis is saying technically you're supposed to use last name for badges. Yes, I tried talking about that earlier. The group that I'm with, and most of the people I've seen in LA, don't seem to care. They're all a little more relaxed about it, because yeah, I should be Abbott, but I don't want to be because I don't go by Abbott, right? And I didn't expect Felicia for the same thing. We never address her by her last name. So with the one group that I've been accepted into, they're relaxed on it. In fact, they've got a guy who goes by his handle. I made a joke earlier about it being Orc Smasher. That's totally not his name because I can't remember what it is. And one of the leaders, his actually says Aaron instead of his last name. So I hear you though, because that is what it's supposed to be technically. Bryson, who says, I love building props for my group, the Sioux Empire Ghostbusters. Go Sioux Empire! But this is beyond unreal detail. Thank you! Still getting New York ads on the bus home, ad Vexen. Oh, is the con over? The con's not over. Right? Oh, it's 5. Maybe. It's 5 in New York anyway. Oh, I forgot to cut again, didn't I? Cut! Oh, I don't want it to be there. That's just, there we go. So here's an issue with small parts. I have an air assist with the head as it's going along, and it's blowing some of the pieces out. So looks like they didn't get fried, but what happens are the pieces come loose and get blown around with the air assist, and that can get them in the way of the cutting path and cause destruction. Hope I don't have my head in the way. Pull the pieces out. That, let's just go back to one off that cut. All right, doing that. Oh, these are the holidays from the inside of the letters. I don't care about those. Suppose I can go to 4, right? And now we're looking at, so I've got the back side that has scorching from the window frame. This is normal with a laser. This isn't something that's happening that's a mistake. This is just where the wire from the mesh of the windowsill or the window screen is touching the foam, and that's heating up and causing the foam to melt. When you're using tougher materials like acrylic and plywood, you just get scorch marks instead of grill marks. That should just go there. And this one I was intentionally trying to put on top. I could cut this out and it could fit together flush like the No Ghost is, but and this one's got some really bad cooking on the side, but whatever, we'll just put the cooking down and it should be okay. And I got my D over here. Now what I don't have yet is my outside frame, because I haven't cut out a piece of 3mm for it. But yeah, let's just go ahead and glue those on. Where's my glue around here? You know, you'd think you'd be prepared. What am I going to need? Super glue. I got that. Whatever. Yeah. Okay. Great, Odin. I'm glad you know you've got some. Where is it, bunkhead? You're on. Oh, here we are. You're on camera now. Things are happening. Is this gonna be? No, that lid is glued and is part of the nozzle. So we're gonna need something else to distribute glue with. Now Lewis talking about doing stuff at a larger scale. The size difference of the cuts for the laser is not going to be anywhere near as noticeable if you end up cutting it at a larger real world type size. Not that this isn't real world, right? I'm trying to build this to be the size that I want for the uniform. But I'm basically making a tiny little model kit. So, you know, because this is what I like to do. I like little tiny stupid stuff. Oops, wrong side. So, to apply my glue, I've just got, I'm just taking a stick. Technically, it's a wooden dowel that we paid money for. It's a stick. It's a high-tech stick. Sorry, I'm quiet. Applying glue requires a lot of brain power, apparently. Now that was lucky I got a glob on the O where I want it, not out in the open area where I don't want it. That was lucky. Talk about it long enough. Alright, come on. I'm also trying to put it on a little gloppy, a little heavy, because I don't want it to kick off until I've got, and I went outside the line, until I got the other piece mashed on top of it. And while I may not be able to pick this up immediately, I should be able to. You know, it's going to take a minute to. It's going to take a minute for the glue to set up. Whole sentences, Odin. Let's just try to wipe that in there a little bit. All right, you guys see me in person. Look for the errors you see here up close. Then you know it's the same one I did on screen. How many of these do I plan on making? One. I don't have the outside cut yet. I'm taking my stick. I know it's probably not on any of the angles. I've got a 1, 2, 3 block off to the side over here, and I'm just setting the stick into one of the holes of the 1, 2, 3 block to as a rest, right? So I can keep the end of the glue. I'm keeping that up in the air and away from the table. It's a brush holder, you know. It's a stick holder. All right. So do I keep gluing these on, or do I move on to cutting out a piece of 3mm foam so I can get the outside cut within the last few minutes I have of the stream? Where's the F? There we are. So by having the outline there, I've got a really good target of where I want the letter to go. And if I really do my best to stay within the lines, which I'm not always good at, then you know, the name should end up looking okay. But yeah. So continue with this. It'll take a few more minutes to get that glued down, but let's jump to something else. And do something else first. I'm thinking this is going to be what's going to happen with the next live stream. It's going to be the continuation of this, because this ended up being a little more talky and whatever else than I was thinking it would. But that's kind of okay, right? You guys don't mind? I can always make one bigger, too. Strictly Games is here. Sean Karg is here. Pre-cut a ton of different letters, and kids can make their own name badges. This is a cool idea for fundraising. Yes! That is great. And with kids, it's great because foam works really well with tacky glue, right? Do I have any here? You know, the gold bottle Eileen's tacky glue? I don't see it, but it's non-toxic. It dries fairly quickly for what it is. No, you're right. You could totally do that, and you could make the letters a little fatter if you wanted. I don't know. This is fine. Kids can handle this. No, that's a great idea for a fundraiser, and yeah, no, that's great. Okay. Looking to see if I got a piece of 3mm. There's 5. That's kind of ready to go. I'm gonna walk off screen for a minute. Sorry. I might have some scrap over here that's already flat. And I do not. All right. What I need to do is cut myself a piece of this 3mm foam so I can get the outside of the name badge made, and it can fit. And I'm just gonna going to local stores, you start to get stuck with what they carry in stock as far as thicknesses of foam, right? 2mm, 5mm are pretty consistent, very easy to find at craft stores. Other places sell, 3 and 5 in rolls and 8 in rolls, and Blick Art Material sells 2, 4, 6, and 10 in rolls. But if you go on to Amazon, or there's other online retailers, I don't remember the name right now because TNT closed, but there's another like Uncle Dad Foam is one that's got more sizes, and there's another one that I just posted in Discord that's got, basically 2 through 10 or 2 through 12, and it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 14 is usually what they end up selling, and you can get it in both white and black. But if you want the colors, you're really kind of stuck going to craft stores, Walmart, places like that. They all sell the same craft foam. It's almost always 2mm. The Walmart one sometimes is like 1.5. But you can get it in different colors, and then you don't have to paint anything, right? So if you're doing the fundraiser to the kids, making your own Ghostbusters badge, you can just cut out a whole bunch of letters, like you say, and have them ready to go. That's a great idea. Now I could cut all the ghost black pieces out of this thicker stuff too, but it doesn't feel like that's the right choice to me. I don't like the idea of the outline of just the black on the ghost, no ghost logo being taller. That one really seems like if everything's 2, that's going to be the right thing to do for it. But for the badges, I'm okay with the outside being 2 raised, and then the letters being raised. That gives it a dimension on the badge that I kind of want. Although I'm already second guessing, do I want to cut the, do I want to make the letters be inset like the No Ghost where they're all flush with only the, which do I want to do? Oh, nice. Oculus Orbis, wish we had more brick and mortar foam sellers in the UK. Yeah, there aren't too many. It's basically what I call craft stores, places that just sell arbitrary craft supplies that has one little bin of foam. There are a couple of online foam sellers in the UK, because you are saying UK, right? Yeah. Tiges.co.uk, I think. I don't think it's company. I don't think it's com. But it's TYGES. It's I think is what it is, really close to that. I believe they're still around. They are an online reseller that is out of the UK. There was a Reddit thread recently where somebody put out a really good list of stuff. I copy and pasted it into my Discord, but that's in my Discord, and I don't have it open right now. But there were a couple of online resellers that were specific to the UK. There was one listed for Germany. There's 2 of them. Like I think Lumen's Workshop is still around. They're Australian. They're around. Foam Armory is on Amazon. I use them. When did D&T close? Yeah, Foam Armory is great. Foam Armory. What am I trying to say? Ben Eady is part of them, and I want to do this first. Foamery's good. That's good dense foam. When did TNT close? TNT closed about a year ago now, I think. If you really need to see it, Evil Ted did a couple of posts and things about them closing, and he bought a bunch of the stuff that they had last minute. Because Ted was really good friends with the people at TNT and not terribly happy that they went away, which I can appreciate. We'll do the offset on these at 0.4. Right? No, that's not going to work. I can't offset these because I have an inside cut and an outside cut. Okay, well this one's simple enough. If I put my ugly mug back on screen, I want to go up here and I want to I want to break stuff apart. Which is breaking apart? Group. I want to ungroup. Oh, I can't because I didn't make a group. Right, this is brought in from the SVG. All right, process. And start. Alrighty, Ed Vixen says, yeah, New York Comic Con is over for me. Cue the music. Very good. Hello from Australia. Hello! Hey, man, good boy. Do you know, is Lumen's Workshop still open as an online reseller in the UK? It was the first place I ordered foam clay from. Yeah, even though I'm in the US, I ordered my original thing of foam clay from Lumen's Workshop. Stream through the Lincoln Tunnel. How about a CJ period top that? Does Michaels still sell EVA foam? Oh, does Michaels still sell EVA foam? Sorry, meant Michaels. That's fine. Yes, but they don't sell. Oh, they only sell this colored craft foam. They don't have the cosplay section anymore. They did that. COVID hit, and they stopped selling it because it wasn't selling anymore. Yeah, nothing was anymore. Whatever. So, but they still have their Creatality foams. They still have a couple of thicker rolls of foam, but mostly what they have are these color sheets that they've always had for, and a lot of it is actually U.S. letter size, not this larger size. But they do still sell it. But yeah, Michaels has that. A lot of the hobby stores that I go to, craft stores, still have it. Who's the one I got the What the Foam from? Oculus Orbis is asking about What the Foam. What the Foam is was available on Amazon, and at this point, I haven't checked. Hopefully, they're still available from their own website, which is called the CosplayApprentice.com, which isn't intuitive because I'm going to look for What the Foam, right? It's buried. It's buried in the corner. But I'm pretty sure it's thecosplayapprentice.com, I believe is what it is. But do a search for WTF foam, like, you know, but only use one F for the foam. WT foam. That should bring them up if they're still around. They're out of Utah, so they'll be shipping out of Utah. Strictly Games. I was really late to the party for the shutdown at Joanne's. Yeah. Oh, good. Cosplay section's coming back to Michael's thanks to Yaya Han. Sweet. Good. I am not being careful at all. I thought I had this. You guys probably saw it. I didn't. I'm just clicking through in a hurry and talking. I'm totally off on the foam. I didn't refresh it. I just hit go, didn't I? Dang it. All right, we'll do it again. Finish. Hey, Odin, why don't you look at where your material is? You know, when I'm not trying to talk and be a host online, I do slightly better usually. All right. You guys know better than trying to tell me because I won't see it until, you know, everything's gone. Process. Hey, let's try it again. Hey, look, it's a bunch of rectangles. There we are. Go back to being 2. Cut. All right, let's try again. All right. Strictly Games. I think I own every Evil Ted mold from Michaels. I almost do. I bought all the ones I was interested in, right? There were a couple I didn't really like. There's a couple that's like, I don't see how I'm going to use these, but I bought like most of the molds. I've got most of them. Yeah. After I lift the foam, take a photo of the laser lines in the base, Ad Vixen says. That's a very wallpaper vibes. Yeah, it kind of is. Yeah, Strictly Games, one of the things I got from, it's behind the monitor over here, I picked up like 3 rolls of 2mm red craft foam that's 1 meter by 2 meters. So it's, it's a big wide piece and a big long piece. One big red piece of 2mm craft foam. I got like 3 rolls of that stuff. I like how the yellow foam down here looks like a progress bar. Yeah, we're moving along. We're getting towards the end of the stream. The progress bar is going to reach the end. All right. I don't know what to do with them. Yeah. Teagues and polyprops. Yeah. Tiges and polyprops. This is Gillis talking. I've used both and have been satisfied with the exception of foam dowels. The ones for polyprops just don't seem to paint well. Yeah, the foam dowels are weird. I haven't had a big issue with the dowels from HD Foam, but those are only available in the States, right? Through Blick Art. But cutting out the foam, they're forcing them through, I think, a heated blade. And when you're looking at the foam, there's like corrugated ridges, which is probably just part of the process. Wow, I'm still really close. Looks like this should be okay. It looks like there's corrugated ridges along the dowel because of how it's cut out of the EVA foam. Let go! Let go! That. There's your wallpaper, Ad Vixen. By the way, Ad Vixen, it was really cool hanging out with you at New York Comic Con 2 years ago. So we got 2mm and 2mm letters, and then I've got 3mm because I don't have 4mm black foam. Yeah. And kind of like what I did with the goggles, I like the raised tray. Now this isn't glued, so picking this up is going to be... But yeah, you get a little bit of dimensional detail there, which I like. And the fact that the foam is factory colored, I don't need to paint anything. That's good. The colors aren't going to rub off. Yeah, and those fit pretty good. So I can just put glue on the edge and try to glue them together. But what's going to be better is to cut out a small bit of fabric or some plastic window screen or something and glue the backs down to that, even if it's oversized, and then I trim the fabric to fit once it's done, and then put this on Velcro so I can put it on my suit. But that isn't going to happen today because we're at the end of the stream. But can I do it? Well, it certainly looks like it, and that's pretty cool. All right, well, something like that. So, yeah. And the big thing that really makes me happy is how well that worked out. Definitely need to rework it a little bit with, it's more cutting it, with getting the eyepieces to be a little bit bigger. It's a little out of focus, sorry guys, it's also a little blown out. But you should be able to see yellow through the mouth around the black. Well, that actually looks a lot better. So yeah, I need to increase the cut on the outside, because you can see it down here at the belly and up in the necks. So yeah, if I cut the black out with a little more kerf, I think things will fit together really, really well. Thank you for sticking around with me. Thank you all of you who've been participating in this. Literally, this was a thought experiment, and I made the files, and this is the first time I've cut these out. This is the first time I've tried to put these particular pieces together. I've done this type of stuff before, but first time I put these particular pieces together. Lewis, absolutely want to help you with getting your fundraiser stuff put together. That's something I will try and get done faster than everything else, and get a fundraiser letter pack thing put together that you guys can do with the kids. I can do it with having the edges like I've done here, right? We can make it so we have the edges, or you just make a big square that's flat on the sides, which is going to be way easier for young ones to deal with, and then they can just put their names in or whatever they want. I think that's a great idea, because foam is cheap, and for a fundraising activity, this is a very minimal cost for your materials in order to get a little project made up that is personalized, and I think that's a great idea. Godelup loves the dimensionality. Thank you, Godelup. That was something I was looking forward to. Shadowland says, I insta-messaged you the link to my pumpkin carving playlist. Thank you, Shadowlands. That's very cool. And also thank you for the super chat earlier. Much appreciated. All right. Yeah, so when I come back again next time, which should still be 2 weeks, it's going to be tricky because I'm flying out to LA that same day, but I'll just crash hard on the plane. Probably continue with this. I know Felicia wanted to do a pumpkin carving, so I'll have to talk with her. It is possible I'll stream again next Sunday. I'm not going to make a promise. I've got some big plans with doing a interview with a local podcast group that's going to be in person next Saturday, and that's out on location. So I don't know how involved that's going to be and how energetic I'm going to be come Sunday. But I might be able to pull it off. So if Felicia still really wants to do a Halloween stream, we'll try and do that on the last Sunday of the month, or it could be the first Sunday of November. I don't know. It's weird. I'm going to Adobe Max the last week of October. That's going to be in LA. It is, we got the pre-tickets, so I'm going to an event that's happening Monday. Officially, Adobe Max being an all about learning Adobe and Adobe products, takes place all day Tuesday, all day Wednesday, all day Thursday, and I'll be flying back in the afternoon on Friday, which is actually Halloween. But I'm flying out on Sunday, which would be the next stream day, because stuff happens at like 9 in the morning on Monday, so we can't fly. We can, but would rather fly out the night before and get rest and be okay than, start flying at 4 in the morning and hope that everything works out right. So it's going to be an interesting week. Anyway, not sure where the live streams are going to fall. I want to come back to this. I want to get parts cut out. I will probably get parts cut out, not on stream, so I'm not spending the time doing that. I'll get things ready to go. You've seen that process, so if Felicia's able to make it, we'll just get into the actual building process, and hopefully get Velcro and stuff put on the backs of these next time. Austin Lips says, see you again. Have a good day. Bye, Odin. Bye, Austin Lips. Louis Cossey says, cool. Yep. Woo, podcast. Yes, Strictly Games. 2 of them, in fact. I'll be doing one this Wednesday with a family cosplay group that's starting up their own podcast. And they do Adventure Time, and the guy's got a Reptar suit. If you've seen my posts online, that's the guy I'm going to be doing, and that's this Wednesday. Joe and I are still talking about trying to get the next Beyond Geek one done, but he keeps getting sick and losing his voice. That's been damn it, Joe! I mean, I was sick once too, but that's why that keeps getting delayed. Anyway, very cool. Thank you all very much. And if you're not on my Discord, I will see you again in just like a week or two. But if you're on Discord, I'll probably end up talking to you later tonight. Thank you all very much for hanging out. Lewis, one of the things I'll probably do for the rest of the day is work on more letters, because why not? Sounds like a great plan. Talk to you guys later.